Yo, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the show. I'm Sean David. Thanks for tuning in. Let's talk some old school NBA. One of the things that I liked and loved about the 90s NBA basketball was that on the one side you had NBA superstars, and on the other side you also had players that were so popular even though they weren't NBA All-Stars. And one of those guys had to be Muggsy Bogues, the shortest player who ever played in the NBA, who was one of my favorite players and also one of my biggest inspirations in the 1990s. And a couple of days ago I had a barbershop conversation about how certain players wouldn't fit in today's NBA. And I came up with the idea, okay, let's see if Muggsy Bogues, the shortest player who ever played in the NBA, would have a shot at playing in today's NBA.
You played with Muggsy Bogues, who in my opinion is one of the most iconic, we forgot how incredible. Muggsy Bogues is 5'3" and played in the league I think 15 years. I mean, why is Muggsy Bogues not doing TED Talks and doing motivational speaking? Because when you think of outside the line thinkers, think of somebody with a powerful brain. Think of somebody who overcame things.
There will never be another Muggsy Bogues. A 5'3" guard in the NBA with a personality and heart that was even larger than the giants he took on every night on the court.
Mine was, I'm a big Magic fan, going to Michigan State, so I'm going to be a point guard in the NBA. Muggsy Bogues made me change my position. Picking me up 94 feet, Kenny. He turned me, and said, you're not going to play point guard for so long. And after about a year and a half, and Muggsy kept looking at me, smiling. Every time we would play, he changed me from going from a point guard to a shooting guard.
So for the guys who haven't heard of Muggsy Bogues or don't know too much about him, let's have a quick revisit of his career. So Tyrone Bogues, aka Muggsy Bogues, was born on the 9th of January in 1965 in Baltimore, Maryland. He played college ball at Wake Forest University for 4 years, averaging 11 points, 8 assists, and 3 steals per game in his junior season, followed by an incredible senior season averaging 15 points, 10 assists, 4 rebounds, and 2.4 steals. He was the ACC career leader in steals and assists when he left. And still, it wasn't sure if an NBA team was willing to draft him. Too many teams were afraid that he would just get posted up and bigger guards would take advantage of him. How little did they know what a great defender Muggsy was. Anyway, at the NBA draft, at least the Washington Bullets knew what they were doing.
Tellis Frank, Dallas Comegys, there are some. Ken Norman from Illinois, or some of those. Let's see what David Stern has.
The Washington Bullets select Tyrone Bogues. Wake Forest.
Bob, that's what I was talking about, obscure. Now they've got the tallest and the shortest.
Tyrone Bogues, who's from the Washington area, Dunbar High School, is going to be loved by the fans there. He is now the shortest player in the NBA.
In the beginning, Muggsy was very happy. He has fulfilled his dream of becoming an NBA player, something that nobody believed he could do. But he quickly had to realize that the NBA was a tough business. The Washington Bullets didn't seem to be interested in the development of Muggsy as a player, but more of gaining media attention, because now they had the shortest player in Muggsy Bogues and of course the tallest player with Manu Bo. And yes, it worked. They got more media attention. But for Muggsy as a player, not getting heavy minutes wasn't helping. Only in his second season he was picked up by the Charlotte Hornets, which was a brand new franchise at the time and which turned out to be the golden opportunity for Muggsy. Not in his first 1.5 years with the Charlotte Hornets, because again he didn't have a coach who believed in him, but in the middle of his second season, when Dick Harder was fired, everything changed for Muggsy. He helped the Charlotte Hornets franchise to turn from a new expansion team into must-see TV.
It is good! Is he exciting? I'd pay to see him.
He just disrupts everything.
What a steal by Muggsy Bogues!
No guys running around in between your legs.
Pounded by Muggsy.
He just plays with so much heart and hustle.
Fumbled for a moment. Bogues picks his pocket.
I try to put pressure on my opponent every time, and I know that I'm going to get it sooner or later.
Muggsy had 9 great seasons with the Charlotte Hornets before he was then traded to the Golden State Warriors in 1997. They took over a mentor role to the younger players before he then joined the Toronto Raptors with the same role. He retired in 2001, being one of the most iconic players of the 1990s and definitely leaving a long legacy. Back in those days, it was really hard to become an NBA All-Star because certain spots were just taken. I mean, Muggsy Bogues was playing in the Eastern Conference and he had just so many great point guards, so it was pretty difficult to be nominated. But still, he was putting up some great numbers. So the one season that I singled out was the 1993-94 season, where he averaged almost 11 points, 10.1 assists per game, 4.1 rebounds, which is incredible for that size, 1.7 steals per game, as well as 47% from the field. In his prime, he was always in the top 10 in steals and assists, and always one of the better point guards in the league. He was always one of those players where stats didn't really say how good he actually was. Actually, he's the perfect example of how you turn your weaknesses into strengths. Even though he was such a short player, he was super strong and an incredible one-on-one defender. Just talk to some of the point guards of his era that hated to play against Muggsy. He was super fast, super quick on his feet, had super quick hands, and could guard you full court. And the good thing was, he didn't rely just on hand checking, but he was so fast that he could literally stay in front of you. Of course, there's always the risk of bigger players posting up, but even guys like Michael Jordan had a hard time posting up against Muggsy. Just as I mentioned earlier, that guy was super strong. Don't underestimate him.
Now Muggsy said, get out, everybody get out. They did, they don't adjust. Muggsy reaching in here. Now he's going to go for the shot. Looks like he gets fouled here, but DeRosa says they already call it. So Zoe Mourning leaves as Michael goes up for the shot, but
I think even today's point guards would have a hard time dealing with Muggsy Bogues. You have to remember his footwork was incredible, and even if the guards are more athletic and faster today, he was still that good on his feet. Scoring-wise, you have to remember he was able to get buckets where you knew it would hurt once you penetrate. He wasn't a great shooter, which would hurt him in today's game, so that would be something that he would have to work on. But still, he has so many upsides in his game that he should be a more than decent point guard in today's NBA.
Surprise pass, he captured it and produced.
46-38, Mahorn took his eye off the ball. Bogues steals, speeds by him to the hole, up and in over Lambier.
So would Muggsy Bogues be able to compete in today's game even though he's the shortest player who ever played in the NBA? Of course he would. He's a great basketball player. I mean, if he was able to survive the 1980s and the 1990s, a way more physical era, of course he would survive today's game, especially since today's game is the point guard era. He was fast, he was quick, also he had a very high basketball IQ, and to me as a former basketball player, that's like the most important thing you need to have. Even if you have physical disadvantages, once that thing is working, you will always find a way to figure it out. Another thing that's really interesting is, if you talk to Muggsy's former teammates, they will always tell you the same thing. He had the heart and the basketball smarts. But you guys listen for yourself.
You look at him and you see in stature he's small, but at the same time, man, this kid, he had the heart of a lion. He went out there and he laid it all out on the line, and being able to play with him, it was fun, because every night I'd admire what he was doing.
Muggsy was the smallest, fiercest player that I've ever seen.
He had every reason to play with a chip on his shoulder. There's a lot of people, including his second NBA coach, Dick Carter, said he shouldn't be in the game because he's 5'3". How am I supposed to play a game with a guy this height? He played much bigger. He was much bigger in terms of his stature.
He was the smallest guy on the court, but he played like the biggest guy on the court. You know, he played with the most heart, and at 5'3", the way that he could do things and how fast he was. And
his speed, I mean, first and foremost, his feet. I've never seen anybody with better feet.
Little undersized, but fast and bringing the ball up the floor. I was in love with small, fast point guards. And Muggsy and I were a perfect combo as far as the guy that I wanted to run our team.
He was a spark plug. I mean, man, he had to be one of the fastest guys in the league. And I'm talking about this is with and without the basketball. So
Muggsy, obviously, the heart of that guy to be 5'3" and play in the NBA. Can't tell you how big a heart he has and how competitive he was, how he could read everything on the floor, time and score.
His basketball IQ was far and beyond that of most NBA players.
All right, you guys, that's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in as always. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you next time. Peace out. Hey you guys, if you're active on Facebook, I can really recommend Open Court. As an NBA fan, you should find everything you need. If it's funny NBA videos, impressive highlights, or even NBA news, I check out Open Court every day.